I don't know if we want to do everybody because y'all all seem to know each other. So I'm going to limit.
Go ahead.
Or go do it.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, if we got time, hey, I got time until about 1700, and I got to be home about 1600 in order to leave at 1700.
Okay.
So my ex-YL's got plans, so we're not gonna mess with those. All right, so we'll just go around the room, whatever you guys normally do. Tell me a little bit about yourself, and I'm looking to see if you've got net control operator experience. And if you don't, that's okay. That's why we're here today. So, whoever,
Ron.
Ron.
I'm K5RJL, Ron. And I have not been a net control operator. Once in a while I think about it.
It's a good approach.
I am Mike, N5SOF. I mainly do special event stuff on here. That's about it.
Very good.
I am David, KJ5SRX, and I have not ever been a net control.
Bob, KJ5DBL. And I have never been a net operator, but I've thought about it, so I'm still thinking about it.
Levon KJ5DBL, I was a mid operator once for Middale's Veterans Day Parade, and I have no plans on doing it ever again.
Smart lady.
If the KJ5DMR, no net control the credit, Pike County come back me sooner or later. Maybe.
And H5DB, yes, I've been net controller when everybody else is before.
That's how it starts.
It is.
David Gates, K0, and I'm one of the rotating net control operators in the Prince County areas.
Very good. I'm asking you questions.
Rob McFarland, N5APG, one of the net controls for the statewide DMR net on Monday night and for the Pike County areas.
J1 KI5 I'm Franklin.
That's a lot.
James, KG5LXB. No experience, and I have thought about it.
Very good.
John, KJ5DBL, that's not talk on the radio guard.
Z Delta Echo Echo KF5 OZ.
Now, the next time I don't have insurance, I don't need to be on. I should be, I need to
Mike, KJ5CHD, one of the net control operators from McLean County.
Very good.
Lauren, N6CLA, and I'm not interested.
Robert, KI5GK, not since I left Mars in the military.
KJ5IJD, I'm Candace, and I've been doing the Cleveland County Aries Net. Got into it when I first started. Has been an interesting experience, but I'm going to be taking a break. We're going to be doing some extensive travel this next year, so.
Good for y'all.
I'm David, KJ5IJC. I fly a left seat to her when she's doing Aries Net. As a kid, I was Oklahoma Wing Net Control, still Air Control for 4 years, every week. Different frequencies, little different protocol, but it was fun as a kid.
Absolutely. That's good stuff. My
Ken.
list is growing.
Excuse me. Ken, KAWGE, no net control experience.
Rodney, KFI-UGA. I've been net control quite a few times, and y'all need to stop thinking and just volunteer. Yeah.
Like your attitude.
Larry, W5LSG, Grady County EC, and I have been net control operator before.
Very good.
Al, A5L, I was standing by for the Harry's net one time when the net controller didn't show, and so I didn't have the preamble or the roll call, so I turned it from a roll call net into a check-in net and did it from memory.
Absolutely. That's the right attitude.
Bill, AE5F. Yes, many times, and no.
No desire remaining.
No desire.
Jeff, KD5CKK, no, I haven't.
Very good.
Daniel, KG5LER, no, I haven't. I think I got enough net in the house to take care of it.
You got your own net.
Turn in gas.
Stay your own baseball team, got your own net. I like that.
KJ5MBM, John, no experience, but I'm working on being a Siren.
Heck, yeah, I like it. Okay. You don't have to talk if you don't want to. Okay, well, you're here to learn. Well, hopefully you'll learn something for you later. I'm glad you're here.
Brent, Alpha Echo 5, Whiskey X-ray, a little bit of net control experience 30 years ago in Sarpy County, Nebraska. David, KI5DBL.
Mike, KJ5KLH. Nope.
No.
Nope.
Tony, WX9AR, or no net control experience, and maybe could be convinced, but probably not.
We're halfway there.
580 IKD, I don't have any net control experience, I don't know if I want to do the net control thing, but this will help me figure that out.
Okay.
I'm James, KJ5HFM, and back in college, I was part of the amateur radio club there. We had a great time. We got to help Stillwater when they had their parade and all that. So it wasn't a controller, but it was part of it, and it was a lot of fun. And as for whether I would be a net controller, the future's out there.
Brother, you're the most enthusiastic guy in the room. I'm gonna take on that.
Sign him up.
Hi, my name's Bob, KF5DBG. I don't have any operator experience. And I think I've talked enough in my lifetime. I probably not very good at that operator.
Very good. You know, excited? Figured it on the back.
KJ5DBL, really? I have no experience.
Yeah. WH6DKD, Denny. The original Oscar and AMSAT satellites, their ground communication done during all their test flights out of the West Coast. For months and months and months. That's about it.
Very nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Todd, KJ5HFN, no experience, slightly interested.
Very good.
Elton, KJ5KFD, no experience.
So just taking notes, right?
Mike, KD5ASN, I'm more a net control operators for Cleveland County's Aries net, the Oklahoma Aries DMR net, KD5UGO net, and then Mark and I share the Cleveland County Severe Weather net.
Very good. If I need to.
Auburn KF5DJH, I have past experience with Aries net.
Got KJ5DRD and I have new net ready.
Chris K5AZN did early on in college and kind of this short with 3 kids. I went on later. Okay.
Very good. Well, it sounds like we have a very level of experience within the room. There are some seasoned net control operators in here and some folks that are just here to hear what I have to say about net control. I will, in full disclosure, I misunderstood what I was tasked with. So I approached this 180 degrees out. So I apologize for that. So the intent of the presentation today was supposed to be from your perspective as a net participant, as a net member. So we're gonna roll with it because I didn't discover this till about 1600 yesterday. I'm like, yeah, there's no way I can retool this. So the next iteration of this will be on March 14th up at Oklahoma City Public Works Training Center. And it will be geared for net members, for those that are gonna participate in the marathon. So actually, I think it's gonna work out okay. So you're gonna get some training today that you may not have been planning on, but hopefully we can learn something. And so this is in no means, you're not gonna get a certificate out of this. There's not gonna be a test. You're not gonna be able to walk out of my 1 hour talk with the skills for you to be a net control operator, because those are only acquired on the job, in practice, in training, actually doing it. It'd be like your daddy telling you how to ride a bicycle. He can tell you everything he needs to tell you about it until you get on the bike and start trying to ride it. You just won't have, you won't be able to put it all into practice. So we're gonna talk about a lot of those things today. So if this sounds parochial or academic or, you know, if I'm breaking it down Barney style, just remember that we have a varied audience in the room and I never know who I'm gonna present to. So we're gonna take it from top to bottom. So net, as you may already know, is short for network. And what is a network? It's a group of stations that come together and they communicate on the same talk path for a common purpose for a specific period of time. To get something done usually, or to practice to be able to get something done on that bad day or that big event. That's a real Barney style definition for you there. We're not going to talk about all the different kinds of network structures because again, we only have an hour, so I don't want to. Like I said, I can make your eyes glaze over. We could get really into the weeds and you guys would bang your heads on the desk. So we're going to talk about, you really would. I've seen it happen. John's witnessed this. So we'll talk about a couple different kinds of nets. So a directed net. These are formal and disciplined networks managed by a net control station. It's the role and the responsibility of the, we'll get into the meat of this presentation. So a directed net is one where the net member stations, those that participate in the net, they must obtain permission from the net control station in order to participate. It's kind of like Mark's Zoom call over here. He's got a waiting room. Unless he allows you access into the net, into the Zoom meeting or the net, you're not going to be able to get in. You might be able to listen, but you wouldn't be able to participate. So think of it that way if you've never participated in a net. Sounds like most of you have, and maybe in an Aries capacity or a club net or something, so you're kind of familiar with the concept. But in a directed net, it's not a free-for-all. Maybe you've had experience where you've listened to or participated in a directed net and somebody tried to enter the net that didn't need to be in the net. Somebody that just really, really wanted to be there, but they weren't contributing to the effort. You may have heard how net control operators get to handle those kind of situations. A free net is usually a progression of a directed net, but in a general sense, it's an informal, less disciplined network that's not directly managed by the net control station. So stations are free to come and go. They don't have to check in and importantly check out of the net. And so a little bit different structure. Usually these are scheduled periodic nets. These would be like club nets, depending on how the network, the net control station tells you how you're going to participate. Traffic nets. Anybody participated in an ARRL traffic net? Anybody participated with NTS? So these nets are very formal. If you've never done that, never listened to it, they can be done digitally, they can be done voice, they can be done CW, but they're very formal. And the reason that they're formal and structured is so that they can efficiently move traffic in an efficient manner across various networks. So it's really a network of different networks that pass this traffic. So the national traffic system it's really a work to behold. And I'm glad to see that it's still alive and well. But like I said, the advent of digital communication has really helped change what that looks like. WinLink has also kind of changed how we look at traffic nets. So think radiograms or other canned message formats. Very structured, very limited in what the information can be contained in the radiogram. What are some network types? A tactical net. That's a network designed to facilitate on-site communications through some kind of emergency response. It could also be during an event, a very large event, any size event really. So think shelter operations, traffic monitoring. We're talking like vehicular traffic. Think hurricane egress out of the South, Florida, Texas coast. Sometimes they do counterflow. You're driving on both sides of the roads. Amateur radio operators will sometimes set up and monitor traffic, look for stalled vehicles, those kind of things. So, and certainly our bread and butter here where we live, weather spotting nets. These are tactical in nature. You're supporting an effort talking back to an EOC. But you're the folks out on the ground, doing the good stuff. A tactical component, tactical function. So a resource net, this is kind of where we get into, we're kind of laying the foundation for those of you that participate. How many participate with the marathon in any way, shape, or form? Yeah, good portion of you. That's good. I like that. And so is there still time to sign up now?
Yes, yes.
Mark?
We'll talk about it later.
Okay, good deal. So if this piques your interest and you want to participate on the other side of the fence as a member, out on a station, we can hook you up. More to follow. So a resource net, it's designed to locate and direct people, stuff, and things to the right place during events. There can be a tactical component to resource nets, and so I like to think of what we do for the marathon is it's a tactically oriented resource net, because we're all about getting people, stuff, things to the right places at the right times to support the marathon operations. So keep that in mind as we progress. So we do have an agenda here as far as what we're trying to do, the people we're trying to grow up. So whether you're a net control operator or you're just you're a member out in a first aid station or a water and ice, whatever you decide to do to help with the marathon, it's much appreciated. So I don't want you to think that this is the be all end all, because without net members, the net control guy gets kind of bored. How many of you ever ran a net and only like one person showed up, or maybe two people? It turned into a small rag chew net for a little bit before you close the net over. Okay, the purpose of net control station is this person is responsible for facilitation of orderly and efficient network operations. So think of it, you're like the maestro, you're the conductor, train or music, any way you want to look at it, you're responsible for what happens in that operation. And the buck stops with you as far as whether it succeeds or it fails. It all depends on how you handle all of these things that happen underneath you. So you're kind of like the maestro. Have a question? So we're going to talk about this in a kind of a progressive manner, look at it from responsibilities, duties, attributes standpoint as we talk about the role of the net control operator. So kind of keep that in mind as we continue on. Any comments or questions? Like I said, I'm really good at making eyes glaze over. I don't see any drool on any shirts yet, so I think we're okay. All right, so the duties, this person is responsible for opening, coordinating, extending or closing the net. So from start to finish, from cradle to grave, as we like to say sometimes in my world, you're responsible for it. Up into including the documentation before, during, and after. This person has those responsibilities. As we've already said a couple of times, they control the flow of the network traffic. You can tell a station to stand by, ask a station to stand by, pick up important priority, emergency, urgent traffic as needed. And also you got to keep up with who's involved with the net. So you're going to be responsible for maintaining the net roster. So from cradle to grave, you're going to need to be forming that list, making sure that your alternate net control station also has this list, able to pass it off. Hopefully they're copying it simultaneously. So
I've got a question if I could.
Absolutely.
To maintain a net roster, sometimes it's hard to understand or hear people. How's the best way to do that?
Say again, over.
Okay.
Or ask for a relay.
No, you didn't understand your question. Say it again. So basically, if you can't understand when they check in, you need to ask them again.
Depends on a net. If it's on a repeater and you can't hear them, chances are nobody else can either. They're hearing just as poorly as you are.
Okay.
But if it's an HF net, maybe somebody else hears them better. Maybe somebody has better ears than you, even if it is on a repeater or on a trunk radio system or something. You know, maybe you have other things going on. Maybe two stations doubled and they just happen to hear. So you just seek clarification. You might keep rolling with the net roster with check-ins and then come back and there were a couple of stations that I missed and check in, station ending in Sierra. I'll miss your traffic, whatever. You'll hear part of it, so jot down what you can. Just don't let it rattle you. Maintaining situational awareness and being able to roll with the flow. It's kind of like judo or jujitsu, you just you kind of got to roll with it and keep, stay on your feet. But to answer your question, succinctly, you would ask them to, say again their call sign, or you'd ask for a relay, or you'd just move on and then pick them up at the end and ask for that same help again.
Okay, thank you.
Did that help? Did that? Some more responsibilities. So again, as the maestro, as the conductor, as the person responsible for the net, you're also responsible for discipline and conduct of the net. Usually, a lot of times people, when they participate in the net, they understand what the purpose is and what we're doing. You don't see a lot of shenanigans on a bad day on an emergency type net, a disaster response kind of net. People kind of understand the gravity of the situation, and there'll be hopefully, an air of professionalism in our amateur environment. I think sometimes we mix those things up. We're amateurs, but we still need to be professional in our conduct and have good character, display those things, particularly on bad days, and even more so maybe on big events if we're wanting to help out on the bad days. So we're responsible as a net control operator to kind of police those things. They're usually not much of a problem, but sometimes you can get stations that want to pass traffic, or they can kind of interfere with the flow of what you're really trying to get going. Maybe they feel left out. Everybody comes to the table with a different set of problems or circumstances or personalities, and so sometimes you got to be aware of those things. So you got to be aware of network status changes. Maybe there's a need, maybe there's a period of time where you're going to have a tactical pause in operations, and you can let the net go free for a while, so stations can communicate freely with each other. And that'll also give them a chance to, tighten the shot group, go to the bathroom, eat lunch, whatever, and then pick the net back up in a directed manner at some point in the future. So you're responsible for changing the status of the net. And then station identification. The network control operator has a primary duty to follow all the FCC rules and identify his station as well as identifying the network. How many of you have ever just been scrolling through your DFO or your channel bank and your radio, and you come across a net that wasn't supposed to be happening, and so you want to be aware of what's going on. If you listen long enough, okay, well, that's a Aries net going on, or that's there's a wildfire and that's traffic control net down in McLean County. They've got amateurs out doing traffic control. We don't do that kind of thing much anymore, but so you're responsible for identifying not only your station, making sure that your subordinate stations, your net members, are identifying themselves at the end of their transmissions. But any questions about that?
Tactical call signs.
We're going to talk about tactical call signs, but it's a good place to bring it up. Tactical call signs are sometimes misunderstood, but man, they're highly encouraged. We use them every year on the marathon, and that's just simply the identification of where they are physically on the map. Me as a net control operator, there's no way that I can know all of you. I tried to shake everybody's hand, and Dot's probably the only name I'm going to remember because I knew her name from somewhere anyway. So I'll remember Dots forever because it's very unique, but I won't be able to do that on a large net. But I will know, it's important to me to know where they are. So we need both in a large net, in a large tactical situation, where they are on the map, where they are on the event, what they're doing. So it can be a geographic spot right on the map. It also could be a function like ice and water, or the meat wagon, go around picking people up in the race, whatever your role is. So if we do that, we also still have to follow the FCC rules, right? So somewhere in that transmission, that back and forth between you and net control, or you and another station, though you use your tactical call sign, you need to make sure that you also insert your FCC call sign in there to follow the rules. Dang, rule Nazis everywhere, right?
Good for them.
Have you, so you probably listened to a rag chew net. If they've done it a long time, every 10 minutes, somebody they'll say, W3WMS for ID, and then they'll go around the round table and everybody will ID periodically. Nets that are well seasoned and they understand the rules will do that. I listen to, man, you can get on 40 meters, 80 meters, sometimes late at night, and man, you can go 30, 45 minutes when nobody bothers to ID. What are some qualities of a net control operator? And so these are things that can be developed. These aren't like, these are all learned things. So if I say qualities, is it something that you were born with? It's something that you're going to have to work at. So you need to be a master of proper network procedure. In the Army, we called it RTELO, the radio telephone operations. You need to understand how to communicate efficiently and effectively in a net environment. So as to set the tone for what's going to happen in the net. And your mastery of proper network procedure, I promise you, it's going to set the tone for the net. And if you don't know what you're doing, people are going to, they're going to rise to your level of incompetence. And it will show in the net the way things run. You also want to have a distinct and clear voice. We'll talk about microphone techniques in another slide, but make sure that this has to do with a lot of things, but your distinct and clear voice could have to do with how well your equipment is maintained. If you've got coffee spilled in your microphone, or maybe you need to replace it. Maybe you got an intermittent wire in your microphone. These are all things that can interfere with a clear, distinct voice. So if you've got gravel in your mouth or marbles in your cheek, and you got a big old chaw in your mouth or something, these things can interfere with making sure that you have a clear and distinct radio voice. Some people are better at it than others, so you just may not be gifted that way, but you're probably a great net member when you're getting things done out there where the rubber meets the road. Able to manage stress. John will be the first to tell you that in my 6th decade that I'm beginning to really suck at that. And you know why? Because Bill can't say no. And my wife says, Bill, you just got to learn to say no. And it seems so easy, right? Well, I'll just do one more thing. This is easy. I can knock this out. But if you do 50 things, you're going to probably not do any of them really well. So managing stress, the ability to be the maestro, the conductor of the net, you're going to take a lot of baggage with you into that situation. So if you're not rested, if you've had a bad week, if you hate your job and your boss, you're ready to throat punch him, you show up on the incident or the event like that, you'll take that with you, and you may not be able to manage that stress effectively. So those are things that I can't teach you in this class because I obviously don't do very well at it sometimes. But it is important to know how to do that, particularly in this context while you're sitting at the control operator seat. So that means that hopefully you've designated an alternate net control and you're walking away from the microphone, especially on events that can last a long time. Another thing that's important is you need to be able to make a decision when you're in the hot seat. And so you got to be able to get off high center. Well, I don't know what I should do. What do you think? What do you think, Mark?
I think we should take a vote.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So meantime, Mark and I are having this dialogue off mic, and things are just going to Hades on the net. So you need to be able to make a decision, even if it's just to not make a decision, to push pause or to delegate that to maybe a subordinate net, push that traffic down to this other net and ask the net control down there to help you with that.
Another question, please?
Absolutely.
So just like that, if you have let's say you got 3 things happening all at once, and you need to make a decision on that, who to talk to, where to go, what to do. Can you ask the net to pause so you can have a moment to work that offline, or how do you deal with that?
You've never put the net on pause. If you needed to do that so that you can disengage, you'd want to pass the net to the alternate net control so that you don't. Radio nets are not like Teslas; they don't drive themselves, and you're not the Great Kreskin. You don't know what's going to happen next. There's going to be something happen, particularly in a dynamic situation like the marathon. There's going to be somebody fall out. There's going to be a critical need that needs to happen. So in your case, if Mark and I did need to have a sidebar, I would pass the net to the alternate control once they affirmatively, I have the net, blah, 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 then I can go have that. And then when I'm done, I can come back and, sometimes those things do really actually happen. So that's a great question. But you never wanna, this ain't a Tesla, this thing ain't gonna drive itself, it's gonna, the ball of yarn is gonna come around real quick.
Okay, thank you. Teslas end up in lakes, so.
Yeah, so. Yeah, don't ever let the net run itself, because it won't. So good hearing, this is different than the ability to listen. I did 20 years in the field artillery, so I can't hear real well sometimes. And if you're talking to me, I need to see your face, not because I read your lips, but because I can hear you better. If I'm looking you in the eyes and I can see your lips moving. My wife will sometimes start talking to me behind me. If there's other people, I don't. And so it causes a little rub sometimes. So this is a little bit of self-awareness. If you have hearing issues, maybe you're not, maybe your season's passed, or maybe you need to go get some hearing aids. That's what my wife keeps telling me, but I'm not there yet. I'm close. So be aware of your limitations. Who's that said that dirty hairy man's got to know his limitations? So you need to be self-aware. Hearing is an important part of listening. If you can't hear, you're not going to be able to listen. And listening is different than hearing. Your wife or your significant other can explain that to you after the meeting today. So you not only want to be a team player, but you want to be a team builder. And so if you're in the net control station, what do you mean as a team player, Bill? Well, if we're showing up somewhere to help with something, we're not there of our own volition. Somebody's probably asked us to provide a service or to do something. So we want to make sure that the agency or entity that we're serving, that we fulfill their requirements. So we need to be part of that team and understand our place in the world and what it is we're trying to accomplish. And then as far as the team building part, you want to, nets, they're not all about, so understanding the role as a net control operator, you need to make it as fun as you can. You want to make it as enjoyable as you can, because none of us are getting paid for this, right? And so if it becomes so stressful and so onerous, we'll lose volunteers. And if you've been in this club for a while, you've probably seen a lot of people come and go over the years because they didn't see the benefit in sticking around. And so we want to make sure that we build teams, and that's part of the effort. What we're doing here today, we're trying to recruit you for the team and kind of help you see what it is we're trying to do. But that effort definitely continues, even on the bad days. We want to make sure that we're making sure that everybody feels part of the team and the unified effort. You should probably have some degree. I said strong. That was probably a bad word. You need to be constantly developing your technical skills. And as hams, I think we get that. We're all the time trying to learn something. We're reading a book or watching a video or picking somebody's brain on how to do this or that or make my station better, how to operate better in the field or whatever the environment may be, how to improve my station at home so that I can do that net control role. So this is an ongoing thing. And if you had a strong technical background 20 years ago, and you did nothing with it, then you probably don't have a strong technical background. You may have a foundation with some cracks in it you can build on, but this requires constant effort. It's really easy to get left behind. But these things will help you to understand what the problems may be during a net and what we're going to do about them. Hopefully you've gained those before you're in the hot seat and the event happens. But you need to be able to lead effectively. You kind of need to be able to read people without being able to see people, right? So if you hear stress in their voice, somebody's yelling on the radio because something bad's happened, you kind of need to be aware of that. That may mean, hey, we need to go get him or her some help because they're really stressed, or maybe somebody needs to make a phone call, make sure everything's okay. But you kind of need to be able to. You need to have some leadership skills. And I think you probably know already if you do or you don't. But these can be developed. Don't let that scare you. Any questions about any of these qualities or things that we've discussed since past couple of slides?
I think a lot of that, all of that applies to both sides of the microphone, the net control members and the net control stations. all of that is something you can work on.
Yeah. After they broke my heart at 1600 yesterday when they said that I made the wrong presentation, I've been chewing over some of these. So these are kind of looking at the your different sides of the coin, or looking at the task at hand from different vantage points. So exactly, a lot of these things are complementary. And your ability to lead and build the team, those are all things that happen out in the field too, among the net members. They're not just limited to the net control station. That's good point. Quite a lag there. Need to understand the purpose of the net. You never want to forget why you're there, what you're doing, what you're trying to accomplish. Usually that's not a problem for the net control operator. Sometimes in different kinds of net people, the net members can kind of lose focus, particularly if they're not engaged directly in whatever the main effort is. If the event is not happening, they're not in the thick of things and whatever it is that we're doing. So make sure that you understand the purpose of the net going into it and maintain that focus throughout. This kind of goes along with what we've already talked about, but you need to understand your place in the food chain. We're never going to be in charge of anything except probably the net or policing each other, right? We're never going to be making critical decisions about how the incident is managed or maintained. And often, and really, I'm gonna be honest with you, emergency managers, gun toters, and hose draggers, they really probably don't want or need a lot of input from us, unless it's a life and safety thing. Hey, there's another house on fire at the end of the block. Those are kind of things you do want to communicate. But just know your place in the food chain and what we're there to do, and stick to those. Unless it's life and safety, then it's everybody's job. And then we only want to do this as long as we need to, right? You'll show up to a meeting, and then it just goes on forever, and it goes on way longer than it needs to. Kind of the same with the net. Usually the event will end at a certain time, and we'll know when that needs to happen. But oftentimes we're told, okay, we don't need you guys anymore. We're going to be done with you guys at 1600. The last station will close at 1600. You guys will start breaking down after that. So this is in the context of other kinds of nets, not looking at the marathon, but don't keep the net open. And if you do, make it free, and then make sure you've got some time to bring it all back to a close later. Any questions about any of that? I teach Sunday school too, so I'm good at the break across. All right, we'll keep rolling. Some of the skills that you need. Well, we've got several of these slides we'll talk about. We've already hit on some of this stuff, but listening is different than hearing. You need to be able to understand what somebody's saying, like clarifying a question. You may have heard it different than somebody else, and so make sure that you have the ability to ask clarifying questions. If you don't understand what's being communicated on the net, it's to you. Ask a question. During that, be brief, but make sure that you either say it back to ensure that you understand, or ask a question if you're not sure. We alluded to this about 8 slides back about microphone technique. We could probably have a philosophical discussion about that. Some people say it's better to talk across the face of the microphone, have it to the side of your face. But that's really going to be up to you to determine what sounds good with the equipment that you have. If you have a headset, you have a nice Heil headset, that's probably not going to be the case for you. Maybe, but just make sure that you have an efficient and effective microphone technique to make sure that you can communicate clearly and effectively, and everybody else understands what you're saying. We need to understand what brevity and clarity means. I have problems with brevity sometimes on a net. I don't really have a problem with it, but if you're in a conversation with me, man, don't ask me to tell you a story, because I think I need to give you 15 pieces of background information so that you'll understand. I'm in my 6th decade and I still haven't figured that out. But on a net, brevity and clarity are very important, because we have lots to do and limited time to do it. And there's lots of things happening simultaneously that may need to get communicated and passed over the net. So make sure that not only you as the net control station understand what brevity and clarity means, but that you keep net members on track too, particularly if they want to wax philosophical, and we got to keep rolling, folks. So make sure you understand what that means. This is important to me. It may not be important to you, but it's probably the way that I grew up and the agency that I still work for. You don't want, so everybody knows what the ITU alphabet is, right? It's not Abel, Baker, Zanzibar, whatever word pops into my head. But you know, if you forget, that's okay. And like maybe you listen to police officers, listen to the scanner or something, or to a police public safety dispatch situation. And you can tell the guys that they were in a green suit or something, or a blue suit before. Sometimes they'll mix up the APCO phonetic alphabet with the ITU alphabet. So we're not asking for perfection, particularly under pressure. Sometimes people will just have to spit it out. They'll have to get up by center. But make sure that you understand that this is the gold standard. If we have to spell something out, spell something. I spell, when you say I spell, found the net control. You're gonna make me wet my pants if you start making stuff up when you're trying to spell. We don't need that in the bowels of the public safety dispatch center. No, that need to be wet in his pants. So make sure you understand that. Practice it if you need to. Mastery of pro words. Somebody alluded to it in their introductions. You know, we all come from different backgrounds, and I think it was Mars guy. Who's the Mars guy? Who's the Mars guy? Yeah, I had the infamous distinction of being the guy that rode Oklahoma Army Mars into the ground. We had some training changes, and we had to institute some basic training for all operators. Some of these dudes have been in Army Mars for 30 years, and then now there's a guy holding back. But understanding the use of pro words, say again, over, out, not at the same time, wait. These are all pro words that are good to be familiar with in a traffic net, in orderly, efficient network operations on a phone net. These are important things. Everybody know what pro words are. Everybody understand what they are. If you're not, then you know all these things can be learned. There's lots of sources for what pro words are and how you use them. Believe it or not, I was on HFNet last month. This is a national traffic net, and the net control station said over and out to me. And if I could have reached the microphone and 2 skips away, I probably just 1 skip away from Arlington, Virginia. And I sent the guy a message and said, hey dude, don't ever say that. It just makes us all look stupid. I didn't say it like that, but he understood what I meant. He said Rogers. Make sure proper network procedure, because people are listening, right? We want to be as professional as we can. Because why would we not say that? If I must linger on that, why would we not say over and out? Somebody tell me.
Over, you're looking for.
Out means the trouble.
That's right.
No more communication. Over means I'm through talking, I'm ready for your response.
I suspect you get as aggravated as I do when you hear that. Yeah.
Roger.
So they do mean different things. You say over, you're waiting for the other guy to say whatever it is they've got to say. Usually they're the person that started the conversation, and they're going to be the ones that are going to say out. Whoever starts the conversation is going to be responsible for closing the conversation. To make sure that did anybody learn something there about over and out used concurrently? So they'll do that. Some more communication skills. You got to be familiar and proficient with your station equipment. Every year on the marathon, somebody will get that shiny new radio that came in at 1800 the night before the race from HRO. And man, they've fat fingered the 3 frequency pairs they need for the 3 repeaters they're going to use, and something doesn't work, right? Or they've got a tone burst or something crazy. So make sure that you're familiar and proficient with your station equipment. So that means you're going to need to rehearse and practice with it before the big event. And so play with it, but don't wait to the big day to do it. That'd be like going to the range and expecting to qualify with a weapon straight out of the box. You're probably not going to hit the target real well. If you're a real good shot, you might get it on paper, but there's going to be some problems. So make sure you're proficient with your station equipment, particularly new equipment. Or if you're sitting in a seat that's not yours. When I show up to be net control there in the backup 911 center at the RMAC in Oklahoma City, that's not my station. It's maintained by Oklahoma City Emergency Management. And the guy that installed the equipment, he's an amateur. And because he's an amateur, sometimes he changes stuff or, so I just need to make sure that I go in there the month before and everything is as I remembered it. This last year, it was a different radio. So you're gonna have to spin me up on this radio because I don't know. Show me what I need to know. Have a pace plan developed. You may not be the person to develop it, but you need to think about pace. How many of you are familiar with pace and what that is? Got a lot of hands. So pace just means that we have the way that we're planning to do it. We need to have at least one other alternate method to do this for this net. That means we need to have another repeater that we can fall back to, or we need to have another simplex channel to fall back to if the repeater fails, or if the trunk radio system decides to go into site trunking or something. And we have to have a backup plan because we have to continue the mission. These things have to be thought about ahead of time because you're not going to have the ability to communicate those to your net members if you suddenly are isolated, right? So as a net control station, you need to understand what the pace plan is. You may not have developed it, but you need to understand what it may be. And so as a public safety communications practitioner, John and I like to say, you better have an alternate at least, whether you have a contingent or an emergency to define those other two letters in that acronym. So primary, alternate, contingent, and emergency communications. You want to at least have an alternate. We've seen it a lot, John and I have over the years that agencies or entities will suddenly decide that Oakland is the best thing since sliced bread, and on most days it is. They'll go to the trunk radio system, they get rid of all their VHF equipment, all their pairs, they let their licenses go, and now suddenly they don't have an alternate. They're gonna have to, a lot of them have to think about it on the bad day when it's the wrong time to do it. Then you want to exercise that pace plan. So that means ahead or anticipation of the net, or maybe it's something you practice as part of something you do in the club here. Okay, well, our primary repeater is down. We're going to pretend like it is, and we're going to use an adjacent repeater. We've worked it out with that trustee or that other club, and we're going to use their repeater. We know it doesn't have real good coverage in our jurisdiction, but we're going to make it work so we can simulate what we do on a bad day. So that kind of blends into the next bullet. You want to understand the limits of your network. Everybody that rag chews and communicates on the amateur repeaters in this area, kind of when you run out of rope, like if you're traveling out of town, you kind of know where the fringes, hopefully you do, because that will affect your planning and how you guys employ the resources when you help with events. So understand the limits and the edges of your network coverage. Maybe there's places where there's dead spots because of buildings. Those are things you want to know. That's what I mean by understanding the limits of your network. Any questions? Comments? Yes, sir.
If you have an alternate plan and you mentioned that you needed to go to a different repeater, how do you access that repeater so that it becomes the official? Because that would have to be something pre-planned, wouldn't it? In the sense that you've already talked to the owner of that repeater, or how does that work?
Yeah. If it's not written down, it's not really a plan. It's kind of like hope. Hope isn't really much of a strategy. I hope everybody will go over to that other machine because we talked about that 2 years ago, and everybody should know that, right? Well, if it's not written down and other people, that's not communicated ahead of time, they won't know that that's what we do. Like if I lose communications, I can't hear the net control station, I know that I automatically go to this repeater or to this simplex frequency. Or I go to this alternate HF frequency. Whatever, it could look like a lot of different things. It could be, a lot of times in the public safety world, it means that, the emergency may mean we're going to be relegated. That's usually cellular communications. That's the last thing in the chain, which sometimes is the first thing that breaks. But just so that we can fill in our acronym, we'll put cellular down for the E. It's a good question. If it's not communicated ahead of time, it's not really a plan. It's not going to work. Don't ask me how I know. So basic techniques for you as a net control operator. You want to use a written net script and a preamble. Why do you want to do that? remember that thing I talked about, stress and fatigue, and, you can kind of lose, you may not be able to memorize, the net script. Some of you can be so good and proficient at it that you do have it memorized, and I know a lot of operators do nets eventually, they get it down, they remember it, and they don't. But you need to have it to refer to, and also you have to get out of that seat, somebody else might need. If you keel over with a medical emergency and somebody has to sit in your seat in a hurry, it'll be easier, it'll be possible for them to take over. Go ahead.
Good practice in your preamble to announce what the alternate repeater frequency would be with this communication. It's something that we currently don't do, and I just thought about that on the Aries net. For the reason of communication, please know the alternate repeater for the net is this. We've got to post it on the website, we've got to post it in places, but I wonder if that should be in the preamble.
Oftentimes it is. That's a great point. I'm going to incorporate that into the next presentation, because that is a perfect place, last chance to communicate that to your net members as they participate. And as a net member, you should be writing down the other stations in the net roster too. But the things that you're jotting down as you begin to participate in the net, whatever the purpose is, you should certainly do that. If it's not something that you already know. If you're going somewhere to participate in something like the marathon and you've not done it before, then you want to take notes. I see people with pens and papers in here and they're writing down things that are important to them. That's excellent. I like that. That's why I like to figure out who the smart people in the room are, because I don't have all the answers, and that's good stuff. Very good. So roll call versus orderly net check-in. So this kind of is this talks about the kind of net that you're participating in. So if it's a directed net, we're going to be talking about an orderly net check-in. And the reason I say orderly net check-in for the marathon, we'll do it by station. We'll do it by the numbers of the med stations. And so that means that we can ensure that everybody is up, they've got their mast up, their antenna up, their radio is on, or we know that, hey, they're just not there yet. And so there'll be an orderly check-in. That really kind of the same thing, but on an orderly check-in, that means that we're probably looking for a geographic location and the people that go with it. Just make sure that you have a method to your madness to accomplish your expectations for your served agency and how you're going to get that done. And using these things are discussed ahead of time. Employing to use that alternate net control station, because I'm in my 6th decade and I can't sit for 8 hours and I have to go to the bathroom. It's just not going to happen. And I also need to get up and stretch because my back and my knees and my joints, they need to be exercised, and it just helps you to kind of get a moment of clarity. And it's just not safe. It's not an effective technique if you have single points of failure in any network, right? We all like redundancy, and people are part of that. And so you never want to put somebody in a seat all by themselves without a backup plan in case something happens. So very important role. Controlled, confident, and calm transmissions. If you're a standard listener, you've probably heard somebody scream, shots fired, shots fired, shots fired. And you can tell who's been there and done that before, and you can tell somebody's anxiety about it, based on the way that they communicate on the radio. Sometimes dispatchers will have to ask that person to take a deep breath and repeat their traffic. Or maybe a supervisor would have to get on there and tell that officer, hey, slow down, take a deep breath, try that again. So if things get really bad as a net control operator, these are important because, like I said, you're setting the tone for the net. And if you're freaking it out, then other people may decide, hey, this is not going well. And you'll cause other people's anxiety level to raise too. So you want to be as controlled, confident, and calm as you can as a net control operator. Any questions? Some more basic techniques, just reinforcing some things we've already talked about. You want to regularly identify your station in the net for the purpose of not only the net members, but if it's an amateur radio repeater, there may be somebody that didn't know that we're doing the marathon today, and they normally have a rag chew on the way to go eat breakfast at Jimmy's Egg, and there's all these guys jamming up the repeater. So at some point, they listen long enough. Hopefully within 10 or 15 minutes, they'll figure out, oh, this is for the marathon. Maybe just by reading the mail, they'll figure it out. But these are important tactically as well as, these are FCC requirements. And so after you ask for information from the net or a particular station, you want to allow enough time for them to respond. It would be kind of arrogant of the net control to demand, think in their, that the net control is the dictator of the net and everybody needs to respond within 10 seconds. They're doing things out there. That's why they're there. There may be something, they may be handling something, and they hear you. So just allow adequate time for that station to respond. If they don't, then continue the net, go on to the next thing and follow up with it. So that'll need to be noted in your log. You need to follow up on this. It means you put a little asterisk on it, whatever it is that your personal technique on how you go back and pick up where you gotta follow back up. And so this is what Mark brought up early in our presentation. We want to use tactical call signs as well as full FCC call signs, so that we're following the rules. Yes, sir.
Like when Mark and I are doing the severe weather in Cleveland County.
Yeah.
We use the identifier W5NOR, Cleveland County severe weather net. We also need to identify with our personal call signs instead within this.
Absolutely.
And how often should we do this?
The rules say every 10 minutes, but I'm just saying, sometimes practice varies from what the rules say. Just make sure that you're with some frequency identifying you as who you are, because you could not have a license. I mean,
Right.
we wouldn't do that, but
W5NOR is a club call sign.
exactly. So that probably depends on the lawyer you talk to, but.
That's a good idea to put it.
Yeah, it's a good idea to identify. This is W3WMS with the K5NOR Aries net for ID. I don't know. I really don't, but the rules say that you're supposed to as well. So you want to pause regularly for emergency, urgent, priority traffic. In a net where we're dealing with these kind of situations. In the case of the marathon, it's pretty well what we're dealing with, but I still like to try to do that just so that I know that I'm doing the right things. And so this is good form and good practice to do this in any sort of net. Pick like on an HF net. I mean, there could be somebody that can hear you that they don't hear anybody else in the world on an HF net, and you're pausing for that traffic. That means that you actually intercept and relay. And there's lots of cases where this has happened. The ship at sea or something. They only heard your net or your QSO. And if you don't ever take a break and take a breath, particularly in a net situation, you don't make opportunities for that kind of traffic to be passed. It's okay to direct a station to stand by for routine traffic. Use the net control, you're the maestro. And if you need to ask them to stand by, you could be calling the station, you're waiting on them to answer. And then another guy or gal down at the med station, first aid station about 3 or whatever their assignment is, they jump on there. They didn't hear you waiting, they didn't hear your transmission, they just jump on there. You can tell them to stand by because you're waiting on that other station to reply. So make sure that you're okay with having somebody. It's not rude, it's just part of the job. And this use of plain language. Why is this important? Is this important to us as amateurs to use plain language?
Yes.
Do we ever speak a funny language that other folks may not? What would some examples be? Like if you're communicating with a hose dragger or a gun toter, what would be some things we might say that they're like, I'm trying that be?
QSO.
Yeah.
73.
Huh?
73.
7.3, yeah. These are things we get away with on our nets. This kind of needs, we need to understand the context and we're communicating. They're often not going to be on our nets. They're probably not going to be listening to our nets. But plain language in a supporting role, it's probably important for us to do that because there might be other folks listening that need to have clear understanding of what it is we're trying to do. So like in a lot of times in a preamble or an opening script for a net, QSD, blah, blah, blah. Amateurs will get that. It's probably okay to say, but you might want to say it a different way. So just understand that plain language is important in our worlds and in what context. So before the net, we're gonna talk some before, during, and after things. I'm trying to, I'm aware of our time. I'm gonna try to clip it up a little bit here. So before the net, you want to make sure that you perform some regular maintenance on your operating station. You know that it's in good working order. You know that if that weak power supply needs to be changed, it gets hot, your radio starts blinking on and off. Just make sure that you handle those things before you take on whatever role you have in the net. You want to be rested and have the right attitude. If you've had a really bad week at work, there may not be anything you can do about it. You're gonna have to roll with it, but you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. My daughters used to tell me a couple of decades ago. I don't know if they would say that to me, but I've heard them say it. Make sure that you're rested, you have the right attitude, make sure you're self-aware. So take care of those things. You want to come prepared, just as you came prepared to take notes here today. You're writing down things, little nuggets of knowledge that you might be able to use. Make sure that you have the right forms that you need. Scripts, somebody's saying, make sure you have plenty of coffee. I like that, Wayne. That's good. Make sure that you do what you need to do to stay engaged. Contact information is important too. We like to think that radio is the be all end all, but personal conversations are important. And if you have to make a phone call to somebody that doesn't have a radio, that maybe somebody that's in charge of the race, or they interface with you, make sure that you have all those important contacts. We'll look at a form at the very end of the presentation to show you how to do that. Before the net, you want to verify that the system owner trustee approval is there for your use and purpose. Don't assume that you can just use this particular club's repeater. You want to make sure that you pre-coordinate that because invariably we make somebody mad that rags you regularly at that time of the day when we do the race. And sometimes we have nefarious things happen because of that rub. But make sure that you have a system owner buy-in. If we're talking about a radio system, make sure that that's pre-coordinated, and or the trustee in the case of a amateur repeater is good to go with it. Hold your member stations via email or the phone to call and confirm participation ahead of time. That way you're not left with some gotchas on game day. And so Mark and others that help herd wrangle these cats before the before the big day, we have a good sense of who's not going to be able to make it. And it's because you guys are you've told us your commitment, and then we're just going to follow. Hey, are we still going out tomorrow night? Oh yeah, I'm excited. Let's do it. So we want to make sure that we don't have any gotchas. And then encourage redundancy of personnel and equipment. So make sure that you're at least 2 deep as a net control out in the field if possible, and make sure that maybe they have an alternate. They have maybe 2 handhelds instead of 1, maybe spare batteries, whatever. Before the net, if possible, perform a rehearsal. This is something we're working on trying to do a little better. We may try to do some of those things on the 14th of March, at least talk through it. If possible, perform coverage tests every year before the marathon. We'll go back and check our assumptions. Things that worked great last year may not work great this year for whatever reason. Maybe there's new construction. Maybe those reflections that skip down into that valley, that urban valley in downtown Oklahoma City, for some reason it doesn't work this year. So we always want to do coverage tests and check out and make sure all the stations, particularly if we have a new station, we relocated med station, we want to make sure that we can get the repeaters that we're expecting them to communicate on. We've talked about alternate net control stations about 3 times now, but it's better. It can be better if that person is also in an alternate location with a different set of equipment, hopefully with the same coverage and capabilities as you. But if there was a building fire at the RMAC and we had to leave, it would be a good idea that they weren't part of that. And so ask questions to ensure understanding. So if you're going to participate in a net, or if you as a net control station thinks that somebody doesn't understand, ask them to give you a back briefing. You tell me what you think that means. And then if they stare at you and like, well, maybe they weren't listening. It's not to call them out, it's just to make sure that we're all on the same sheet of music. So some more stuff before the net. If possible, meet in person or virtually if you need to make that option. This club does a really good job of that. Make sure that the net members get at least a small briefing before the big event. This, we can talk about how we're gonna do things. This is the plan. Nothing's changed since the last planning meeting. This is how we're gonna do it. And so your briefing will need to cover what our job is, what our mission is, what the expectations are of the members that are participating, any reminders, changes, procedures, what emergency situations may be and what we're gonna do. And then again, we wanna always make space for people to ask questions. Some more things before the net, we want to review lessons learned from the previous events or incidents. We try to do a good job of that. What worked last year or what didn't work. Sometimes we just can't do anything about whatever that thing is. We just know we have to live with it. But we always, Mark and his crew, they always look at, well, it didn't work so good last year. Can we do that in a different way? And so I do this with John, 2 or 3 times a week sometimes, particularly in our busy times of the year. Come up with a comms plan, or whatever the problem is, always ask for a sanity check, because we can't see everything, right? So if you have a elder or a mentor, maybe somebody that's involved in whatever it is that you're doing, that big event or that incident response, hey, does this make sense? This is my solution to that problem. This is my proposed course of action. What do you think? You're like, dude, that's not gonna work, and this is why. So make sure you have somebody like that in your life, in this context. And in life. During the net, you want to pass an NCS and NSC. Yeah. Good. So make sure that you pass the net control to an alternate trainee. That gives them opportunity to sit in the hot seat for a finite amount of time, and also gives you a chance to do those things that I talked about. If possible, I should have said if possible, as a net control, you need to take a break at least once an hour. And the past 2 years as a net control station, it's not been a reality. But sometimes I'm about to wet my pants. I got to get up. And so I'll pass it to water and ice. You want to be a motivator and encourager. Somebody that's really doing a good job. Tell them they did a good job. Don't type the net. That good effort or whatever. Just make sure that if you see something good happening, just as you want to police traffic or redirect somebody that's doing something that's maybe not exactly correct, in a professional way, you also want to, give accolades where they're due. And you can do that in real time, and you don't have to be a distractor from the net. You can do all that, maintain net discipline while keeping it fun. Some more things during the net: provide clear operating instructions during the preamble and check-in. And so we're going to include alternate methods of communication if we have a failure of the repeater. Those are things that you often see in a preamble, so that's good stuff to make sure that we incorporate. You want to be able to delegate tasks. If you're a main net, there's subordinate nets under you. The only subordinate net that we really have in the marathon is the ice and water net. The ice and water. I get cotton mouth to talk too long. So be sure to delegate tasks if it's something that they should handle, or maybe that you'd like for them to handle because you've got too much traffic or too many things going on. And then that methodology that you have on how you follow up on outstanding requirements. You didn't get an answer, they're going to get back to you. You still need pickle juice and 3 cases of water at med station, whatever. It's been 30 minutes, you haven't heard back. Just make sure that you have a way to follow up on that, or you delegate that somebody do that for you. And then you also have to, out of all these things, you still have to maintain paperwork. And so this ICS 309, what is that? Somebody tell me what that is. I know some of you know. Nobody? It's a radio log. So you guys probably have them, just know what the form number is. Make sure that you're keeping up with your radio log. And it could be, I don't care if it's a you ought to see the notebook paper. If that's how you if you've got a method to your madness. Just make sure you understand what the closeout requirements are for the agency that you serve, or the club or the entity, the area structure. Make sure that you understand what you're going to be required to pop up at the end of the day. And then ICS 214, if you're an Oxcom guy, I'll do some stuff in here that you may not do as an amateur, but if you're an Oxcom, make sure that your unit log, you're keeping track of all the good things that you're doing, capturing the problems and the good things happening. After the net, promise we're getting there. You want to conduct an AER or hot wash. That may not be your responsibility as the net control operator, but it could be something you could do on a quick and dirty basis if you have a lunch or something after. Hey, what went right with the net? What can we do better? And this may be something that the event as a whole is going to also do. And so you do your part, it may be easier to feed in the information that relevant to the larger organization you're supporting. And so allow honest and feedback from your participants. So write down everything that you didn't like about this participation, my presentation, give it to Mark, the club guys here. I'll honestly, seriously, if there's things I can do better, if I'm too verbose, whatever, give Mark that feedback and I'll consider it. I promise. That's what I tell my wife. I'll consider that.
On Valentine's
Yeah,
Day, really?
I wouldn't say that today. I would not say that today. I talk big when she's not here. So you want to see feedback from your supported agency too. Hey, how did we do? Did we meet the job at hand? And those things are usually a lot of times we spell that for you, but that's you ask them. And finalize any evaluations and records required by the supporting agency. Again, that's kind of an OXCOM thing. I threw that in there as an inoculation for you guys that want to do it. I promise we're almost done. 3 more slides. So this is at ICS 309. This is just a radio log. This is from and to what the nature of the traffic is. Again, brevity is important because you don't have a lot of room to write. So make sure that you are able to capture that succinctly and in a timely manner. Keep the net rolling. But this is it's also something net members need to be familiar with. Communications log. This is an activity log if you're an OXCOM, or maybe you can even be required to do that as a even if you're not a full blown OXCOM person. Maybe your local emergency manager says, "Hey, I want my amateur volunteers to fill out a 214, so I know what they did out there at the fair, doing what it is that you're doing." So it's just a log, just a list of activities log, what you've done, what you haven't done. But we did not talk about this, but this in the ICS world, Incident Communication System world, this is a formal way. This is kind of like the ICS radiogram, if you will, but it's a way to pass traffic messages from somebody to somebody else, a way to track that communication. One more. Okay, so I said that phone roster, that way of talking, figuring out who does the important people that may not talk on the radio, or even if they do talk on the radio, and ICS 205 Alpha is a great document. This may be something produced by the agency that you're supporting in an incident action plan. That's what IAP stands for down here. Also, we call them event action plans, EAPs, if it's for an event as opposed to a response. But this is just a fancy phone roster, but it's really important to know. These are my attributes. I stole heavily from this gal here, net control training manual from 2003. And then good old Army radio telephone operator handbook from also from 2003. And then I spent a lot of time here, the hard way, University Learning Lab, learning the hard way. I've got a lot of experience in that place, as I'm sure you do. And that's all I have. Any questions? Yes.
We've got April 20th on the calendar for the training for the marathon. You mentioned March 14th a couple times.
March 14th.
Two different things.
Two different things.
John?
There's going to be, John can elaborate if you'd like on what we're going to do, but it's going to be the flip side of this coin. It's going to be from the net member standpoint. A lot of it will sound the same, but from a different perspective. And I have not retooled this for that yet. But so we're going to do kind of the same thing. Visit if not, it'll be a different audience. There'll be a lot of different other clubs there at that one. You got anything you want to say about that, John?
March 14th is kind of this training aspect from the personnel in the field. April 20th is the briefing for the event.
Okay. Yeah, so we're dialing in our shot here. This is the 14th is just kind of some more training to kind of familiarize people about the process and how you participate. Had some data. Yes, sir.
How do you handle disruptors on people that maybe are not licensed, but they've got a radio and they just try to cause trouble?
Unlicensed hecklers, you just work through that. You just don't acknowledge them. Don't feed the trolls. You just pretend like you can't hear them. And that eventually a lot of times they'll go away. If it's malicious interference and it happens a lot, then that's a whole different conversation where you gotta try to figure that out. And sometimes that's difficult, but The professional answer is you never feed the trolls. In a military context, you never acknowledge that there's jamming on the net or that there's interference. You just keep rolling to the best of your ability. And then if you have to go to an alternate frequency, there's usually some key that trigger that you need to do that. We can certainly do that in amateur world as well. Yes, sir.
Hang on, one more. On the amateur side of that, I can't tell you stories until it's over, but I'm currently chasing 8 different bad guys in Oklahoma. For doing just what I was. All kinds of stuff. When it's over, we're gonna have a great presentation on it. But that is out there from both licensed and unlicensed people. And that's what my exact words are always never feed the trolls. And I'm working with the FCC and the ARRL, Riley Hollingsworth on all of those. And it's like, come on, get a better hobby. Don't play with us. But we hit it in the
Is Riley back?
Riley is a volunteer for the ARRL. He was the lead counsel for the FCC. He's now a volunteer that runs the solo, what we used to call official observers, now volunteer something piece. But that happens a lot. If you're there, just ignore them. I've seen we've got everything from cursing to farting to swearing to burping. Happening all over the state on those kind of things. And dead carrier is another one. They're coming up with dead carrier stuff. And I agree. FCC agrees, and everybody's on the same thing on the amateur side. Do not engage. Technically, there's a clause that if somebody comes in unlicensed and you communicate back, you can be part of the problem on that. So communicating back with them causes you grief as well. But we've had problems with that in the area.
It's like a interpersonal ninja move. If somebody's making you mad, wanting to make you mad, and you don't get mad, then you just won. And so just ignore them. Yeah.
So a net control operator controls one net, or can they control multiple nets at the same time?
One net.
One net?
Yeah.
Okay.
My brain can only do one thing at a time. So I couldn't see a situation where that could work. Now, there could be subordinate nets underneath them that do tactical functions in support of a higher net structure. That happens a lot, but you're not, there's gonna be somebody in charge of those subordinate nets.
Okay.
You're gonna have another net control operator.
Any other questions for him? All right.
Appreciate it, sir. Actually, I think that was extremely, timely, especially given the number of people who said that they were actually possibly interested.
Yeah, it's recorded, people.
Outstanding. Yes, we have it recorded.
No, your responses were recorded.
Yeah. Let's take 5 minutes real quick, guys, and come back at 5 till, and we'll continue with the meeting.
Yeah, thanks, sir. Sorry.
Good job. It's like you've done this before. I'm amazed.
Yeah, it's very so hard. And so finally I sit down, those 35 over.
My chair and it's lack of control.
This close, you know, but I had guys on the song. You know what we're I probably made it. Has it been over? Talk about it.
Anybody here's right offhand if I'd have.
Pretty good. You guys are up there.
Yes, we do. Let me ask back here right quick, hold on.
You got that side. On the TV. I've got went right back to pretty much a general. Yeah, you got to rack long. Let's say Bill's talking, you guys should do it. Still not going Yeah, so what I've ended up doing is I watched it. And like, yeah, it says. That's great. Okay. Not that I've been. I wish I could.
Great start.
I mean, there's a little bit of white place with that. No, this shiny radio is kind of all my. No, I don't like the thing. If I. So many handy things. All my stuff. Something new and shiny. I some of like the ones in my car. I just got them in like a. And then I have a waiting. You're pretty big. Yeah. I'm trying to remember, I have 4 different. When I have two. So is it radio? Battery's good. That's the big deal. I got, that's what I got. I'll say that. You know, I've never heard of that. When I hear. You don't have to give me special grade.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. If we could, we can get out of here.
Recharge.
So, after Rob had his first meeting, I realized he really needed a gavel to get everybody's attention, so I got him one.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
All right, so we already took care of introductions this morning, thanks to Bill, so that saved us some time. We'll go ahead and hand it over to Mark for our moment of silence for the estimates.
Every month, we lose hams in the area here and around the country, around the world, actually. But we try to remember that they're part of the family. Or we're just one big family, even if they're not in our club. And we want to remember them and show respect to them that we've lost a family. So if we would, let's take a minute and remember all of the hams that we've lost in the last month and the last year.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark. All right, we'll go on to secretary minutes. Chris?
Okay, last month, we had a program from Wayne Ankles over the Rattail RT 950 Pro, which is now on my Amazon wish list. After the break, we had meeting minutes read and the treasurer's report read. VE report, we had 4 new technicians and 1 upgrade to extra. For ARRL, the Oklahoma Memorial Marathon, so needed more people to sign up. Last month, they had about 50% of the slots filled, and they're pairing new volunteers with someone that's been in the trenches before. Marathon this year is April 25th and 26th. More information on the website. The February 5th was the start of the 8-week technician class every Thursday from 6:30 to 9. Get the more information on that at w5nor.org/class. They had some pretty good participation this last couple of weeks. Hammond Day class is set for February 28th from 9 in the morning to 5 p.m. That session will be at 3:30 here at the fire station. Update on the HOA bill in Congress. They've had about 4,000 letters delivered from the writing campaign. The bill got past the subcommittee and is going for the full committee. They've got a congressman guidance the process on how many letters to send each time. They've got over 150,000 letters to send for this campaign on the bill. Chakota Hamfest was pretty successful last month. They had about 120 attendees and several vendors. New business, the president presented, and then we had discussion on the breakdown of the proposed club budget for 2026. It was, motion was made by Mark Klein and seconded, and the vote passed unanimously. Under announcements, the Skywarn spotter class is March 26th at the Weather Center at 6:30. SCARS is moving the April meeting to the 3rd Saturday due to Green Country Ham Fest up in Tulsa. It is now that time of year for club dues to be due. So go ahead and see Larry to pay those. And one of our club members, Jeremy Coughlin, N5 TEA, is participating in the expedition to the Marquez Islands in April. And you can find information on that at k5we.com/tx9w. And with that, the meeting ended at 11:11.
All right, thank you, Chris. All right, Larry, treasury report, please.
Okay, last month, we had a net income of 533. And, so in checking account, we had $21,080. In savings, we had $26,203. And petty cash, we had $606.
All right, thank you, Larry. Appreciate it. Let's go to the VE report. Ed.
Okay, the VE session this last Thursday night. We've got 1 upgrade to general, 1 upgrade to extra, and 2 new techs. So continue to roll around. And our next test session is on Thursday, March the 5th. So coming up soon.
You got a new Corvette, so I guess.
Oh, technical, I'm sorry.
No changes this month at all, so it's a good time, right?
80 miles an hour.
And you will be sirens now, or you will which of them?
We go ahead and do it.
Okay, as far as the siren net today goes, we know that the city of Norman's not testing, Noble is not testing, Newcastle is not testing. Moore, Galen has said they're not testing except he reserves the right to change his mind at 11:30. I don't see blue skies yet, so I don't think I'll spend the wood, but I'm not gonna pick Galen, so He reserved the right to 11:30. Wayne's keeping an eye on it, so watch for your emails. If we hear anything on the bill, we'll mention it.
All right, thank you, sir. All right. All right, Mark. Over to you for the, or ARRL and
All of that.
anything else.
Very cool. We did I guess this, like it could come under technical piece. Thanks to Bob Meyer. Is Bob still here? There he is. I thought you went out drinking earlier today. Nope. Thanks to Bob Meyer, we have a Mesh-tastic repeater. We call those repeaters. Is that what we call them?
Yeah.
Sort of. We have a Mesh-tastic device on the top of the deck at the Weather Center, National Weather Center. It is up and operational as of Thursday at about 5 o'clock. So if you're a Mesh-tastic person, you will see SCR 1-AD, was AD, CB, some other numbers, but SCR 1 is the device. Mesh-tastic is the one, is the deal. You can send small little messages, and I think I've said it's been very worthless. However, Bob has got a neat setup that we'll be doing soon. SCR 1-AD 3D is what it's called, but he has a neat thing we'll talk about soon that will do repeater monitoring over that, and I think that's gonna be really cool. We did that first part Thursday, so if you're a Mesh-tastic person, you should be able to go north and south a little easier and see some stuff. Ham Holiday will be, you're the first official group to hear this, moved from the OCCC to the CCEC. You may know what that is? Nope. Levon does. What is it?
Cleveland County Fairground.
Yes. What? It's gonna be at the Cleveland County Event Center here in Norman, Oklahoma, which is at Porter and Robinson area. The really cool thing is, if you've not driven by that recently, they have spent a lot of money, a lot of our tax money in a really good way, for a 10,000 square foot exhibit center. 2,000 square foot meeting rooms. They have food kitchen, serving area inside. It's a direct walk, walk straight up to the front door instead of walking for a quarter mile down a hill or up the hill or whatever the story was of the OCCC. There will be food trucks and or other food distribution systems there. We're gonna go longer, we'll go longer Friday and then Saturday, more of a 2-day kind of event piece out of that. So hopefully that should be a good thing. The Ham Fest will be July 24th and 25th. So July 24th, 25th, put on your calendar.
July or June?
July.
July.
Dallas was June. We're July.
And RV parking.
There's RV, yes, a lot of people in town will drive, well, I guess you could drive across town and park. $35 RV spots, which is kind of cool, so lots of neat things coming out of this. We have access to the barn. So if somebody gets out of hand, we'll move their booth out in the barn area.
Which is gonna be upgraded.
If you want to set up an antenna out there, you're welcome to. So that's a cool thing. Hammerham is gonna be October 24th, same back time, same back station in Ardmore, America. That Hamfest are a place for you to buy, sell, and learn stuff and meet your friends, which is kind of cool. March 7th is Elk City Hamfest. If you want to go out that way, it's kind of fun. Another little one. Marathon, we're still signing up stuff. John Love's in the back, and Bill Scott was your wonderful presenter. John runs the Oxcom piece out of that. We have signups available at coraok.org/signup. If you haven't signed up, go up there and go do it. If you have signed up, go to coraok.org/marathon. You'll see all the details and you get information that shows the right spots. That's a good point. Deadline for that is supposed to be March 20th. They were going to background check every volunteer, and then the police, I guess, can't do math very good. Because they realized that the whole volunteer list was a lot of time involved. So they're still gonna check us wonderful Oxcom people and anybody that works on the Saturday event with the kids. They're trying to keep everybody above water. Yes.
We've had a number of people that have tried to sign up this past week. They're saying that they're not able to post their photos. Is that an issue or is that part of this?
Yes, I have, I've seen there are five, I think there are 5 or 6 that people that's, it says your waiver has not been signed. Those same people, Rob and Ethan, and apparently you've got a couple more that were unable to do this. I brought it up to the meetings Wednesday. And I said, as an IT guy, somebody changed something, put it back. And the Lynn Porter, the director, said she would get on that right away. But she said they will follow up. They typically follow up with the people that do not have anything listed on the waiver. And she said that will normally, they will follow up on that for sure. The pictures, they will follow up. The pictures are there. Since we are background checked, we will get photo IDs. So it'll be your picture on the ID and it will prove that you're a validated, verified person. But yes, there is a known problem with that. Keep checking on as long as you are. If you've got somebody that's got a concern, shoot them my way. We'll talk, make sure they get handled. But I gave that list of 5 or 6, whatever it was, to Lynn Wednesday. She didn't know anything. I said, somebody jacked with something. And she goes, yeah, I know. You're right. Somebody did. So yes, that is a deal. But coraok.org/sign up at least get you started on that. Hopefully they'll get that up and running. Marathon, the big thing is how you do this net control. We do a few nets. I think Rob will run through them all here in a little bit, but hopefully you've learned something today to take with you on all of our nets. The one thing that I heard that I keep forgetting about is that as a net participant, you should be taking notes and logging down call signs as it's going by, instead of, mowing the lawn or doing the other stuff that I always do when I'm on that. But start get practice to write that stuff down, and you'll be a better person along the way when you go, oh, who told me this? And you can look back at your log and figure out what you got. But personal logs are always a good deal. OU class, we started the class on the OU campus for the 7-week class 2 weeks ago. We had a really good instructor this week. Who was it? You don't know me? Oh, we don't remember who it is. Rob was the instructor this week. We're always looking for people to help. Next week's electronics. If you know people that want to go to the class, you're still welcome to come. When you show up at the Weather Center, 6:30 to 9 is when it is. You show up at the Weather Center, you'll see this happy face and he'll get you a badge and get you in the door and all that kind of fun stuff. Mark will make that all happen. A lot of good stuff. I will say, I think we're over a dozen at this point. 15 folks, I guess we have in that class. 2/3 are weather students, which is kind of cool. They want to do weather training and keeping up with the spotters. Professor Amanda Kiss, KIS, is also in that class at the Weather Center. And then the rest are aviation students, and they're wanting to get mic time. So before they get in an airplane and do the stutter stammer thing that Bill was talking about, that stuff. So they're trying to get that going, which is kind of cool. Great kids, all of them really good kids. If you want to come and just watch, you're welcome to come and watch. That's allowed. We will take March 19th off, which is the spring break. Thank you very much. And then April 2nd is the test session that will be down there for those guys. Ham in a Day class we will do February 28th here, this happy building. So if you know people, friends, enemies, whatever you want to do that want to get their license, $5 for the book. Free class is free. Pardon? Lunch is provided by our chef, Rob, who was supposed to. You said you'd do that, right? He would get it done. I see how he is. Yeah, okay, it's delegating. Okay, good. But that will be here February 28th. Friends, Romans, countrymen, anybody's allowed and invited to come. That will be tech. So the idea is you show up at 9 o'clock, you read all day, 3:30 we do a test, and hopefully we get 80 to 90% of them out of here with a license or more. 110% maybe? Maybe. Ed, can you hear that person? Yeah. No, he's asleep over there. Next week, next Saturday, I've been asked to go to Church of Latter-day Saints, if you're not familiar with that group, they have a huge emergency preparedness organization. They have literally have warehouses. There's one by the airport here that are stocked with food and diapers and stuff for all kinds of bad days. And they have those all over the country. Each one of those warehouses has amateur radio gear, so they can talk back to Salt Lake and say, hey, we need, we've been wiped out, we need blah, blah, blah. So they're big into communications, they're big into preparation, they're big into checking on your fellow church members. So if we're in a group, the group is supposed to make sure that they all take care of each other, get that going, and then go around to a bigger area. But they have a festival, preparedness festival next Saturday up at 157th and Penn, way up in Edmond. Roger Bullock's a ham that's running that. He said I had to bring my passport so I could get up there. So I guess I gotta go bring a passport so I can get all the way up to Edmond. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock on that piece. And that runs me out of the stuff. Any questions?
Make you all.
All right, thank you, Mark. All right, let's run through our nets. Mr. Denny, if you will do the Mac net and then the gossip net.
Every morning, 9 o'clock, 6 days a week. And got about 30 or plus people checking in on that one regularly, quite a bunch. Anyhow, come visit us, come check in, say howdy, let us know what you might be up to. On the gossip net is on Tuesday after the Aries net. And they, same thing, you can talk about whatever you like. And have a good time on that one also. And thank you very much.
All right, and both of those nets are on the 06 machine, correct, sir?
Yes.
All right, Mike, you want to do the statewide DMR net?
If we can do the Aries as well.
Sure.
Okay. The Oklahoma statewide Aries DMR net is Monday evenings at 8:15 p.m. on Talk Group 3140. We've had people checking in from all over the country, and I think Rob's had a couple of all over the country, and he's had some that are out of the country, or maybe it was Mark. But yeah, Mark, but pretty fun net. And then on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. we have the Aries net. Now that's a good net to test your equipment, and some of you all had raised your hand thinking that you might want to participate as a net control operator. Ask Candace, that's a great net to learn on. It's all scripted. You just go down, and if you're interested, come see me. We can get you hooked up, and you can even do your first couple of nets from this radio here on Tuesday night on Elmer's night, so you're not here all by yourself. So give me a holler.
Thank you, Mike. And also, both the Cleveland County Aries net and on McLean County Aries net are roll call nets. So it is a little bit easier to get started. I mean, obviously additional people can check in after the roll call, but it's a good way to get started. I'm sorry?
You mentioned where.
The Cleveland County Aries net is on the SCARS 06 machine primary. The secondary is the UHF 443.7.
Correct. Yes.
All right. Thank you. All right, I'll make sure I don't forget something. We've done the Siren net. Who's here from the UGO? Ethan's out. I'm sorry.
On Thursday evenings, again at 8 p.m. on the UHF repeater, we have the KG5 UGO Memorial Net, the Dr. Phil Memorial Net. Just a real laid back net. It's a 2-round net. We go through and we have everybody check in, and then we come back and you can just talk about anything you want, kind of like a gossip net. It's a fun net, and we're having about 13 or 14 people check in. So come see us on the UHF repeater. Yes.
Activity on the 6 or 10.
Okay, I can't help you with the 10-meter net because I can't get into that. On what day is the 6 meter? On Monday nights at 8 p.m. We're supposed to have the 6-meter net. There is not really an official net control operator. However, myself and Jim K9 OSU, we're almost always on there. Just jump on there and holler at us. We've had input of people putting on there. So
Tell them where you are.
it's 50.200 6 meters at 8 p.m.
All right, thanks, Mike.
10 meter. John Arnett, EC4CH. a student at OU, is, said he will put the 10 meter back, 10 meter net back online, Wednesdays at 8. That's 28,445. So if you have 10 meters available, novices, techs, everybody's welcome on all those net frequencies, so there's something anybody can get a hold of, but that's supposed to start back up again, this week on the 10 meter side.
All right, thanks, Mark. That leaves us with McLean County. David?
Okay, on Wednesday mornings at 8 o'clock, the Cleveland County McLean group, various group gets together with Jimmy McLean County. Well, I think it was county I'm in. McLean County Harris groups gets together at Jimmy's Egg at Newcastle. We have anywhere from 6 to 8 people show up, so it's a lot of fun. It's a good time to get to know everybody and just chat and talk. At 8 o'clock that night, we have the McLean County Aries Net. It's on the 442.400 repeater at Newcastle. It is actually a YSF repeater, so it's a system fusion repeater. It's a fully digital. So anyone that has capability to do digital, you're more welcome to come in. You can come direct, or if you need to, I have a YSF reflector. You can get through a hotspot. It's on 57618 that you can come through the bridge. There's a bridge between that and the repeater itself.
Also, for the DMR folks, if you have a hotspot, you can cross mode into that YSF reflector too, so come join us.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm not aware of any old business we have remaining from a previous meeting. Anybody have any new business? All right. Mark's got a couple of things he wants to talk about real quick.
Next month, I think a lot of people already asked, starting next month, we need to start thinking about field day this year, summer field day. There's a lot of preparation, there's a lot of different little parts to this cog that in this wheel that everybody needs to try to think about helping to participate. If you want to help to participate, set up, take down, operations for the 3 setups we're gonna have, which is SSB, digital, and CW. Start thinking that. It's always the 4th weekend of June. And we're gonna have a good setup. We're gonna try to expand on it from what we did last year a little bit. We've been asked about doing what we call a go-to station. That's basically a 2 meter station, and we have new hams running. Well, we've never had anybody who wants to set and participate in it. If you want that type of setup, you want somebody to see it, just a basic setup, we need to have people to participate in it. So let's do that.
The HF also.
HF, yeah, HF.
HF, yeah, it's HF also.
Yeah, HF also. So we can do that 2 meter and HF also, but we need to have people to do that. And I'm not talking at 9 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock when we start. I'm talking at 9 o'clock at night, midnight, 2 a.m. in the morning. We run full 24 hours. We need people to go around the clock. That's important. We need all the stations to continue running around the clock. So plan ahead, think about it, come up and work those radios, work the stations. You get a lot of practical experience with the radios and the antennas and the propagation and all of that. You get to talk to people around the country. Okay? And one other quick thing, I do have a radio and an antenna. I've got a ICOM ID 5100A. If you're not sure what that is, you can come look at it. And a mobile antenna with a mount available if somebody's interested. Come by and see. Thanks.
Thanks. All right. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. And I did realize earlier when we went around the room, give an announcement. We forgot about the RJ folks. So we got Wayne with us, Carl with us, and Mike and Ethan. So thanks for joining us this morning, guys. As far as announcements, some of the same announcements we had last month apply. The technician classes are going on. You know, feel free to jump in there if you know somebody that needs that or wants that. He mentioned the spotter training on March 26th for our area. Every other year it tends to go between Norman and Edmond. So here's your chance to attend it locally. That's March 26th at 6:30. No pre-registration required. Keep coming up with meeting presentation ideas. If there's something you want to hear, please let me, David, or one of us know. We'll try to get that in there. So does anybody else have any information any announcements?
I have a question.
Go ahead. Yes.
Being that I've been only here for about a year, a little over. I would be interested to know how many new folks that are just getting their license within the last 2 or 3 years. And how many advanced folks that have had their license for years, just as a point of reference to be able to go, hey, do you understand this? You know,
Right.
How do we find this out? And or just as a interworking type.
So like in the room right now, you would like to know how many people are newer? Is that what you're saying? So if you've had your license less than 2 years, raise your hand. Good. That's a good amount. Thank you.
How about for a longer term? How many?
So what are you thinking, James?
5, 10, 15?
Okay.
Yep.
5 to 10 years, raise your hand.
Wow.
Over 15 years, raise your hand.
Oh, wow. So now we know who to talk to about that question, right?
Come to Elmer Night. Come to Elmer Night. That's the best place to come. We've got people that's been doing it a long time. We got experts in different aspects of amateur radio, and they'll be happy to help you.
And Elmer Knight has really grown even in the time that Ethan and I have been coming. And Mike said it before, I wholeheartedly agree. The radio stuff's cool. The relationships you build and the friendships you make are far more important. So I think it's not uncommon now to see 35, 40, 45 people here. So it's really a pretty neat opportunity. Really
does it online.
And then, and there's a kind of a whole other subset online on Zoom. So that's really cool. Yes, sir.
Like Mike mentioned, our Elmer's night kind of being replicated. There was a friend of mine that I met, who was from Topeka, Kansas, who was starting his Elmer's night on March 18th in Topeka, and trying to get a group together up there so that they can start doing pretty much what we're doing down here. He actually visited Elmer's night and was real impressed by the way it worked out.
That's great. That's great. All right, guys on Zoom, you have anything? Oops, did I cover up the screen?
We gotta do a roll call.
I'm sorry?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Well, names.
We did that at the very beginning. We did that whenever Bill started.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were early with that today.
Yeah.
Presentation.
We did it before the presentation. Well, if nobody has anything else, we will adjourn. Our next meeting is March 14th. Everybody be safe.
You're a short guy.